Power Motion Picnic Hour, sometimes a special guest. Say your name, special guest.
Bjorn Borg.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Power Motion Picnic Hour. As always, I'm your host Dave, and alongside me is...
Trevor.
Hello Trevor, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh, good.
How are you, Dave?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm doing pretty great. Having a nice Saturday over here in Lower Manhattan.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're recording for the second Saturday in a row, so that's fun.
Did we do last Saturday?
I think so. I think the last recording was Saturday, kind of late.
I thought it might have been. Was it even Sunday?
No, it was Saturday.
Oh, it was Saturday.
I remember because I had to run to Best Buy in the middle of the Saturday night.
Right.
Soho dinner rush.
Correct.
Yeah, and so we've avoided that tonight because it's nice and early. The sun hasn't even gone down yet.
So it is exactly a week in this case.
It's a couple hours shy, probably. Yeah, I think we recorded at like 11 p.m. last time, or something like that.
It did take. That was when I was like at the aid station, the podcast aid station, sort of waiting for you, wondering when you're going to come through, and
yeah, and that's the thing we didn't anticipate. With I was great at running to an electronics store and buying a piece of equipment and getting home in record time, but I wasn't good at configuring the hardware, and it took about 2 hours to get going or something like that.
Yeah, who knew it would be so difficult? I think a lot of times we're fortunate probably to be given work computers that are just sort of all set up for what you need to do with them at work. And in this case, you go to a store, you buy a computer for yourself, and the thing's just a wreck.
I have no idea, yeah. And it took a lot of troubleshooting to get that thing running. We're pretty self-deprecating a lot of the time about our running abilities, but really it's our technological ability that we should be disparaging ourselves about.
It's another area that we could cast what was it? Cast aspersions on.
I think that's the term we use around here, rightly or wrongly.
Cast irreverence. Yeah. Irreverence. That was that was our term. Irreverence. Yeah.
That was the one that we blatantly use incorrectly when talking about running and anything else.
We don't talk much about our lines of work, and I'm not suggesting we do so now, but I sort of am in and around technology, let's say, and so sometimes people will sort of look to me or ask me questions like I might know the answer, and I usually have to explain that I'm more of a conceptual technologist.
I like that. You should put that on your business card.
It's I can tell you sort of about the thing, just not exactly how to do it.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, you're a podcaster. You're a popular podcaster. You must know how this piece of technology works. And you're like, I could barely turn the equipment on.
No, I learned it all from you, who asked your friend who is a more advanced podcaster.
Yeah, more advanced.
That's really how it came together.
More advanced by any measurement, any method of comparison you could choose.
Correct. Yeah. Choose a unit.
And she's coming out on top.
Stack it up. She's on top.
Yep,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Well, I know that we were sort of a little bit worried even a couple of days ago. It's sort of like, oh man, we're going to be recording again so soon. Last time we just had a big break, and how's the running been? What's there to talk about? But then I feel like in the last few days we've just had a surge of like things happen.
I think there's been a lot of running. Fill us in on your end first on your surge.
Yeah, well, it's not a surge is a bit a bit of a strong word, but I'd say I did commit myself earlier in the week. I think a slight amount of lamenting might have come through on the last episode about how not quite in the shape I was hoping to be coming into the presidential traverse in a couple weeks. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about that later, but sort of like committed myself early in the week to just like, okay, what can I do? What's in my control, and how am I going to do it? So ended up sort of starting Wednesday to commit to early morning runs, which was something I was doing a lot last year, and then sort of had the fortune to like be able to fit runs in at other times, so that the early mornings kind of like stopped being a necessity. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, got out early. The runs did not feel fantastic, but I think I feel good about just having gotten out there.
How early did you get out?
Like not super early, especially not.
That's why
especially
I asked.
not like, yeah, not to like runners. I was getting out between 6:15 and like 6:55, like sort of taking my first step. So that's getting up, throwing the clothes on, doing some stretching, doing a little bit of warm up, and then like starting the run.
That's pretty good. In my book, it's all relative about what early rising is. From a farmer's way of dissecting that, that's not early. But for me, I mean, I was up at 6:45 this morning, so moving before that's pretty early.
It's pretty good, yeah. So I'll feel good about that. And I kind of just decided. Well, I decided a few things, sort of like rethinking some of the goals related to the Prezi. But also just like sort of I guess leading up to that was just thinking about the training itself. And I think I arrived at like just a pretty fun little project, good for the next couple weeks, that will just give me enough motivation to get out and like also do running that I enjoy, and feel like it's got like a little bit of structure to it, but not like intense workout, like, killing myself out there, more just like, I've got like a little bit of a framework to do some running, which basically involves going to this one area near me and just plotting out a bunch of different loops and out and backs of like various length. And then that'll be useful for the future, because I'll know sort of, all right, I've got, all these different options. They're different lengths, depending on how fast I'm going, can do them in different amounts of time. So that's what I'm focused on. Just kind of doing a lot of running around there.
You gotta Lewis and Clark it before you can set a Thoreau FKT out there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I went from feeling like not so good about the running to now like I've got a good plan, and I'm actually really excited about sort of the change of sort of like goals and motivation for the Prezi coming up too.
Oh, good. It's funny. One thing I've been thinking about is something that we talked about a little bit off pod, but I don't think we've touched on it with the mics on, which is like feeling like both of us have been a little bit slower recently and struggling a little more than we were maybe a few months back with some of our running, and trying to figure out why that is, and
Yes.
mostly blaming it on the heat, which I think is very creative of us, and possibly true. I don't really know.
Well, I'm going to blame the heat. I'm still blaming the heat.
Or maybe you blame the heat, and I was very happy to have the excuse.
Yeah, I mean, I'd throw humidity in there too, as another factor. Yeah, all sorts of external factors. No, I seriously would. I mean, my type of running, as you know, it's sort of a lot of different speeds and types of movement sort of fall under the broad category of running. So like it's quite common on most of my runs that at some point I'm doing something that might look to an outsider as more like, hiking, fast hiking, or even just walking.
Or just a man lost in the woods.
Right. Which
on first inspection.
All of these things are in play when you're talking about a run.
It could be both sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be all of that. So anyway, like usually it's like, all right, I've got a good excuse. There's like a spot that's like maybe technical, and you can't go too fast. I mean, some people can, but I'm not on like a normal training run. I'm not going to like risk injuring myself like doing something stupid, right?
No,
like,
not worth it.
Occasionally might plan something out. All right, I'm going to like sort of do this one little section or something. But for the most part, like, so that's a good excuse. In the fall, like leaves are a great excuse, especially when they're wet. Like,
yep.
I've taken so many good diggers on leaves. Vertical, like if you're going up something steep or even just something prolonged, like, that's a good excuse. Kick it into hiking.
Oh, sure.
But like the running I've been doing on roads around here, like I just reach a point in the run where I'm like, I'm just going to stop and walk a little bit at this point. Like I lack any of those other excuses. So it's humidity for me.
It's humidity,
and heat. Yeah.
So this morning I was running yet another New York Road Runners 4-mile race in Central Park, around the Ted Corbett Loop. I think that's what it's called.
Okay, this is another classic, and this was the retro race, right?
This was the retro 4-miler where everybody dresses like me. Everybody looked pretty great, actually. There were a lot of good costumes, and
Nice.
And it brings up a greater discussion about, what is retro even now, right? How many years back do you have to go for it to be retro? It seems like most people, though, agreed that retro is the late 70s.
Late 70s has been retro for...
Yeah.
It's like had a solid claim on retro for as long as I can remember, really.
At least in the running world, right? Nobody was out there in a nobody was out there like Rocky Balboa in a sweatsuit running.
Right, yeah. And nobody was wearing like the Bernie Sanders like leather like flaps.
I was looking at
mega spikes, right?
I was looking around. I didn't see those either. I saw pretty solidly some Steve Prefontaine. When is he late 70s or is he might be older?
I think he was probably. I mean, his career probably spanned. I'm guessing like late 60s into 70s.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's Prefontaine. I was wearing my Bjorn Borg Fila headband, so
yeah.
I guess look retro out there, but I wore my retroist headband. And there was a little bit of 80s. I think 80s has a solid claim now, so there were some 80s runners representing it. But yeah, somebody on the first hill, somebody near me, there was a couple running together, and one of them said, and this was like the first hill there's a bunch of hills in this loop, and they said, hills are really humbling. And I was thinking, like, this is like the first hill and the smallest hill. And I guess I was wondering if they knew the loop or not, if they knew, what it's going to be like, the hills that are about 75% of the way through, that are longer, steeper, and you're more tired, and it's warmer by then too, because it was pretty damn hot today in New York City.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I don't envy you having to run in the heat at all. It
was super fun, and I had a great time. Except I really thought I've done 4 of these now this year, and the first one I ran like 8:20 miles. Then I ran the first one I ran like 8:10. Yeah, 8:10 or 15. Then I ran 8-minute miles. Then the last time I ran 8:20, and today I thought I was going to be close to my PR, and I was running 8:30 miles. I know I'm not like using a watch or anything to track it, so I'm guessing this all internally. But I was shocked to see that it was my worst 4-mile time of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's okay though, right? I mean, like we talked about, or like we often talk about, time is part of it, but it's definitely not like all of it, right? And
no.
I think it's good. I like hearing you talk. I'd say there's something really good in that, which is an intuitive feel for your pace. Like that's better than a watch any day. That I was actually like at the start of the year working on some of the speed work and working on like sort of calibrating and getting that intuition was part of it too. Doing things like you might actually like this style of workout. Like have you ever done a progression?
I don't think so.
Well,
what is it?
Next 6-mile run you do, I recommend. This is from Coach Friend. As maybe I should just mention again, all of my running advice, or at least 95% of it, is probably like a poorly translated version of something he's recommended. But
I just add, most of mine is something I overhear people saying when they're having conversations at races that I'm running.
Yeah, there's that, but you also have a lot of like good, I'd say, like proprietary advice too. That's just something that you just sort of thought of or conjured.
Yeah, it's a test in the test mode right now. So for all of them, we're all going to find out soon whether they're all massive failures as ideas. But anyway, your Coach Friend said,
as soon as we see Kipchoge with the Fila headband, we know it's all over.
Yeah, exactly.
So. I'd say what I'll recommend, maybe we can do a new special segment on a future episode where we talk about a specific workout. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. So start, do your first mile at a 10-minute pace.
Okay.
And then your next mile, like just basically drop by 20 seconds for each next mile, and do 6 miles that way. So you'll end at something like, I think you'll end at an 8-minute mile pace.
Oh, I see. Okay. I mean, I don't do it in any official way, but that's very often the way I run when I'm running on a treadmill. No,
I noticed that. That's what you did when we ran together. Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I was just doing what I felt like, and on a treadmill, that's often what I feel like is just getting faster and faster and faster, and then at the end, just running like crazy, as we say on the Power Motion Picnic Hour.
Yeah, just run your heart out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. All right. So, I mean, we don't need to go down this whole thing, but you might like just try one of like the interval programs or something. I don't know. Treadmills have a lot of like built-in stuff that's
true. I think
might be a fun way to mix it up for you.
I have to Nancy on into the the gear shed soon, I think, and pull out a Garmin watch or something. I might need to.
You might need to
come over to that side so I can do these things not on the treadmill.
I'd say you can do it in a way that you preserve your free-spirited sort of soul running, character, while still sort of benefiting from some analytics, right?
Maybe,
and like,
yeah. Maybe I should get like, what's like the classic old school, like, is it a Timex sports watch?
Ooh, yeah.
There's like an 80s Timex watch that's kind of famous.
The Iron Man, I think.
Is that what it's called? Maybe I should get that. That would require doing math in my head while I run, but that's, everyone used to, so.
Well, speaking of retro things, I feel like that one, maybe it just never went out of style, but there's also these like G-Shock, those like giant ones with like the huge buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't think would be very practical for running, actually, now that I think about it.
I thought that's for like if a toddler's going to spill something on your watch every day, you get that or something.
Yeah, or like...
Or if a toddler's going to run an ultramarathon, he wears that.
You're like a boxer getting ready to strap on your gloves, and you need something like large to take off your wrist for like, just a little flare.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I
don't. Yeah. So wait, where were we on weekend running? So you did your 4 miler.
Yeah, and it was fun, and it was very, very satisfying. And I don't know if I can blame the heat, because it really wasn't that bad. Because I woke up. I was saying I woke up at 6:45, and I was in there in the gates and out. It started officially at 8, and so my corral probably got going at about 8:07 or something. So, and then I was done. By about 8:40, so it wasn't that hot yet. So I don't really know my excuses. And there were water tables, and I skipped them all. So
well, that's great. Skip the water tables for sure.
Yeah. Losing a lot of time in there. I considered stopping at the table at mile 3, but I thought I was making good time.
I mean, at best, just like swipe a bunch of the cups and like maybe end up with one in your hand. Exactly, by the time it gets to your mouth,
go for a real aggressive move that nobody at my part of the pack would consider doing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that might be a good segue, perhaps. And actually, I maybe before I get into that though, so forget the segue, ditching it. So there is, I'm hesitant to like say too much about it, in case something like just doesn't go right with the plan. But, if like there were an occasion where I could join you in a Roadrunners race, like in an unofficial capacity, would there be any, like, how would the corral system work? Can I just like sort of saunter in without a bib?
Yeah, you could just stroll on into wherever you want. I mean, like, it probably wouldn't be encouraged for you to roll into the AA section right up front where the people are flying out of the gates. But I think if you wanted to come back to section E with me.
Yeah, okay. I think I'd love to try to do that sometime. And this is like US like ATF or like whatever the official track and field organization like rules are. So you're probably not technically allowed a pacer in this particular format of race.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Like I said, back in Corral E, it's pretty relaxed, and I hear it. The farther back you go, the more relaxed it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It goes all the way back to L.
Oh, awesome.
So I think you'd be fine. Nobody would care. But like I said, there are people who are complaining about the first hill, a hill about a quarter mile into a 4-mile race.
I guess we got a few things going. Like, not only do very few of the participants have pacers, but there's probably like very little people who are like carefully planning water and like calorie intake for like a 3.1 to 4 mile race.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I do that too much. Like, I got home last night and like ate a granola bar before bed, and I was like, only because I was running 4 miles in the morning. I was like, I would never do that if I was running 4 miles that wasn't a race.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a regular like morning run. Of course not. That's insane. But I like.
Well,
I got in the
push a little harder. I don't know.
I got in the mindset. Yeah. But I have my numbers up. I ran 33:59. Although we could maybe blame the heat because I think I was higher relative to my group than usual. So there was this was actually a smaller field. Usually there's about 10,000 people. There was 4,647, and I finished 1,270th. So that's
if you did the maths, that's a pretty good percentage.
Pretty good. That's like 26, 7. I don't know, not bad. And then in 40 to 44-year-olds, I was 124th out of 279.
Awesome.
So
we're top quartile.
Maybe we should be recognizing my age graded time.
Yeah, what is that? You sent me that, and I was wondering what that factor is.
I don't know what it means, and maybe a listener could actually chime in and help us with that. But 32:11, and then I'm looking back at all my races. My PR for the year when I ran a 31:59, and that was time age graded to 30:32.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe we should start, whatever. I don't know what it means. Someone could. Why change it? Like, why handicap it like that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of times there's, there's different rankings. Like there's the overall, then there's the gender, then there's the age group. There's like, those are traditional sort of groupings, but there's no like altering of the score. You're not putting any sort of like factor on it to like reduce or anything. Like just because you're fortissimo in one, does that really mean you should get a minute back on your
I don't think so.
4 mile? Like
I felt fine. Yeah, I felt fine. But I don't know. I guess
we thought we were loose with time.
I was 995th out of people from the USA.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's good too. Out of 3,867. It seems like people who traveled from other countries tended to place much higher. And that makes sense. I wonder
if our dear listener from Brussels was there.
Perhaps.
Love to hear from that listener. Really appreciate the ongoing support. There's like that listener is just going strong, I've noticed.
Yeah, so somebody in Brussels is listening, which is great. And that's funny. So that maybe even, segues us to something interesting, which is I was supposed to send you a song of the week this week, and I forgot to pick one out, which is why I didn't send you one, and just remembered when we were logging on to this recording session that I didn't send you one. But a song maybe worth discussing is something I discovered on Spotify called a song called Daydream by the Wallace Collection.
Okay.
Do you know them?
I don't.
It's really good. I really liked it. It's from an album from 1969 called Laughing Cavalier. I don't know if this is good running music. I haven't tried to run to it. But anyway, they were like a Belgian psychedelic band. So maybe
I see it. I found it. Yeah. So great.
I looked it up. The song was a huge hit in Belgium and France and the Netherlands, but despite being sung in English, it never crossed over to have any popularity in English-speaking countries.
Interesting. All right. Well, and I guess that's a good one just to talk about because unless Wallace Collection is still active, they're probably not hitting that part of our filter. But
true.
I can definitely listen to it. I'll see if it runs. We can do like a little side song of the week about it.
Yeah, that'll be, and that could be a little homework assignment. Maybe if any listeners want, they can try running to it too, and letting us know how they feel about it.
Yeah. Well,
see how that works.
So that might, so I'm actually making a playlist for my upcoming Prezi Traverse.
Nice.
I think I'm going to go ahead and add that one.
Well, it might be helpful.
It might be, and I'll see that'll no better way to see how it runs.
Yeah.
See if it runs.
Test it in the wild.
Yeah. And I'm realizing now, like our listener in Belgium it's either one like very, very devoted listener, or it's like multiple listeners who just don't listen that much at all.
Like somehow
we don't get like detailed analytics.
Sure, it could be a bunch of Belgians.
Yeah.
It could be, it could be a bunch of expats.
Mm-hmm.
We could be popular in the Belgian expat scene.
We could be. Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Again, we'd love to hear from our listener or listeners. And
have you ever been to Belgium?
I have only once and very briefly, but
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I haven't been. I almost went once, and I was in Amsterdam, and it's a pretty quick train ride. And me and a friend were going to go, and then another friend who was from Europe and had been everywhere told us not to go. And told us that Belgium was lame, and so we ended up not going. But I in retrospect, I think he wanted us just to keep hanging out with him in Amsterdam.
I guess he doesn't like mussels and very good beer, traditionally brewed by monks.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should have gone for a night or two, and then many years later, my uncle was in Brussels, and he brought me back like a bottle opener that had that statue of the little boy. That's like he's like peeing, right, to put out a fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I have that somewhere.
Nice.
Maybe,
nice.
Yeah, maybe in a box right now, but probably about time to dig that up and start using it again.
And before we lose our listener from Belgium,
yes, I thought we were pandering by speaking about everything Belgian I could think of that I knew about. That's it,
including. Well, I guess it was your friend. You actually disagree with the decision not to go there. To be clear,
I would like to go. It's a regret. It's one of my great life regrets.
Well, when we go back, or when you go, if I go again, would love some good running recommendations in and around Brussels and also maybe broader Belgium, like where else might be good to run.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe I've got a couple quick ones.
Okay.
We've got, so just maybe a note in case listeners want to tune into other podcasts to hear more. The Hard Rock 100 is coming up. This might be, we talked about Western States, UTMB, which is Mont Blanc. That's like probably the biggest one. Hard Rock is somewhere like, top 5. So call it like 3, 4. It's a pretty prominent one. And it's interesting because it comes only a couple weeks after Western States. So most people don't run both because like you need more time to recover. But Courtney Dauwalter is going for it, and personally think I think she's going to crush it. I mean, I just think there's no stopping her.
When is it?
It's actually happening right now.
Oh wow! And so, how long is it going to take her? It takes her like,
we might have racers finishing pretty soon. Hard Rock, I don't know. So Western States, it's like 15, 16 hours, I think, in that range for somebody like her. I forget her exact record-breaking time a couple weeks ago. But yeah, Hard Rock, I'm guessing, is a little bit longer, maybe like approaching, I mean, I'm just setting up for a correction, but I don't know, 18, something like that, maybe?
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So anyway, that reminds me, I'll check check in on it after this.
Yeah, we could update that on our Instagram account. I know a lot of our listeners like to engage with us there, and we enjoy that as well.
They do. Yeah, we love that. And let's see.
Another.
Yeah. What do you have?
I was going to say, I'm going to have another entry to the Gear Shed, actually, because I had to get a new phone, and my new phone, I didn't know this, the new Samsung Galaxies, you can't plug like a wired headphone into it. So yeah, unfortunately, and I like that. But so I went down to the electronics store again. This time I walked to Best Buy, and one of the cheapest wireless headphone pairs is made by Skull Candy, who any regular listener to the show will know I love because they fit my irregularly shaped ears, and they were also only $25, so that's not as cheap as like the $10 ones I usually buy at Rite Aid. Yeah. But not too bad, and hopefully they run, hopefully they keep a charge, hopefully they fit. And yeah, I'll report back on that next week. I just picked those up today.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that Gear Shed.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, we never gave units to the Zero sandals. We talked at length, but I think we forgot to actually rate last episode.
Oh, how many units we rated them as?
Yeah.
Well, I know my female running companion running sandal tester would give them 5 out of 5 units.
Excellent.
I would probably give them 4, and the only reason for the 4 is that I haven't yet figured out a way to make them fit well without sliding around. But I like the sensation of running in them. Apologies to any listeners and mailbag contributors who are opposed to these type of running sandals.
Well, I mean, hopefully opposed to only the sandals and not the people who wear them and enjoy them. I'm gonna go 4 too.
Okay.
Well, 4 as well. So I'm not getting into a decimal system of units. I'm gonna go 4 units. Similar reasons, and actually, I'll give you a recommendation. I messed with the straps a little bit recently, and also like part of it was like pulling it through more in that like side spot to kind of like center the one that goes like through your toes.
Yeah.
And that helped me. And then I always do it like tight up around the ankles too.
Yeah, I feel like
helpful.
I feel like I've exhausted the capabilities of the ankle tightness on mine, and I might have I might have skinnier ankles than you.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go 4 though, because they made me realize how much more work I had to do, and how like my legs, like, you know, probably were in desperate need of more of that type of running. So sent me into a little bit of a spiral of like feeling bad about my running for a little bit, but I guess that's not the sandals' fault.
Well, yeah, they could have been more sensitive about the way they
I could have just been a better runner, and then it wouldn't.
Well, but that's, I think, lack of entry level and universal appeal is certainly worthy of losing 1 unit.
Yeah,
so, yeah. They lined up pretty well with me and my ability, and I would like to get out there in them again. Maybe I'll try that again next weekend.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I'll pop in some wireless headphones, go to the track, listen to some classic Belgian psych rock.
Do some double shed, yeah.
Double shed song of the week, and see how that goes.
Ooh, awesome. Let's see. Should we talk about Prezi, or should we save it for? Maybe we'll save that one for next time.
Okay.
I feel like I got a few things to say. Well,
okay,
actually, let me just. I'll share my. I'll share the new goal, and then we can talk about it more, maybe if it makes sense. Because I think we probably have 1, maybe 2 to go before the race or the run is on the 28th.
Okay. So
probably one more.
Yeah, right. One more pod before that. So maybe we'll preview it next time. 1,
maybe 2. But anyway, so yeah, the goal, I went from originally had like a stated 7-hour goal, and I was going to run. There's actually, like, this is probably what we'll talk about next time. There's like many variations of the presidential traverse. Okay. And there's some controversy around it too. But there's like one that's probably widely accepted as like the like most well-known FKT route. And then the one that I was originally going to run was like the old FKT route, which has like a less runnable start, but also like kind of more natural because you don't have to like double back as much to get to the first peak. And had the idea that it would be kind of cool to run against coaches time from 10 years ago, which was like right around 7 hours. So like, all right, let's see if I can beat that, right? 10 years later. And so a couple things. He was gonna run with me, and is now not able to. So I'm going to be out on a solo mission, which will be kind of cool. Okay. And I decided, I think like the goal, especially where I am in terms of the fitness, is like shouldn't be like a time-based goal. It's just going to be like I'm going to try to do a little bit further actually than that route, hit 2 other peaks, and just like sort of maximize the time out there and really just try to have a good time. So
I like that. I think that have a good time is an important goal to always include.
Yeah, I'm just completely depressurizing it from any like, I'll try to go hard. I'll try to, do what feels good, but I'm not going to like completely kill myself. I'm not going to like feel bad because I don't really have a time anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to do it in a way that's fun, kind of maximize the enjoyment factor.
I think that's important. I was bummed this morning when I finally got my phone back from the bag check and looked it up and found out I ran about a minute 45 slower than I thought I had been going, but the priority was having a good time, and it didn't ruin my morning. So.
It's a whole like isn't it like a whole like weird thing with running where like sometimes you like you're doing this thing that you feel good about that makes you feel good, and then like all of a sudden you start like feeling bad about something kind of silly like that, right?
Yeah, and you have to it's an important thing to remind yourself of why you're doing it. That being said, it is pretty confusing, or not confusing. I just that personal best 4-mile time when I ran my legendary 31:59 in the pouring rain when I stepped in a puddle 2 miles in and yelled no excuses at myself. that was that I don't know why I can't catch that time in much better conditions, getting better sleep, like, in a better starting corral when the people around me are probably closer to my speed, all sorts of things. Everything about it is set up for me to succeed, but there's some kind of there's a lesson there, and I'm not understanding it or getting anything from it.
Well, I think so. I mean, I guess what I'd say, and I've thought a decent amount about this too, is like, the beating a prior best like is sort of a fun thing too. Like and like going fast and going for a time like that can be fun too, right? Especially when you get there. So I'm not like saying completely don't have goals like that. Shoot to get faster, shoot to get, like whatever it is. But like, I think what a lot of the runners I really admire, from like friends to like elites, the one thing that they all kind of like sort of harp on is to like just enjoy all of it, right? Like enjoy the process, enjoy like the failures, like learn from those, enjoy the successes, like. Well, today I think that's actually the what's fun about it, right?
Today was a great example of enjoying the failure because it didn't ruin my time, and I had a wonderful morning, and I felt like $1 million. So I was very happy to be out there, and that was great. But
I had like a not quite failure, but I think we talked about the WAPAC where I kind of like just hit a wall a little bit sooner than expected, and kind of like had a realization I wasn't quite where I thought I was. But as I was like sitting in the parking lot having my like recovery double IPA afterwards, I was like just feeling great. It was just like still an accomplishment. Like, was out there with friends. We were smiling. We were having a good time. Like, like the time or my like relative level of fitness like are the least of it.
Oh yeah, that's important stuff to remember. I mean, and that's what I was able to remember this morning, running on a perfect day with my 5,000 best friends in a big circle around Central Park is pretty thrilling, and it's something I love to do. And so, I was able to enjoy that much, much more than I was upset about anything negative. Although it is funny because like something has crept into my head, which is a feeling I used to get as a songwriter. I've been writing songs for about 35 years, and and I used to like if I'd write a really good song and then like hadn't written a good one for or a great one maybe for a while, or relative assessment of great, but I would think, oh no, well I never write a song as good as that one again. And so I've thought that many times in my life until eventually I stopped worrying about it. But it did creep in recently, like, will I never run a sub 32 4-mile again? Like, I better.
Yeah. Well, you will. I'd say if you set your mind to it, you can do significantly better if you really want to. Yeah.
I think,
well, there's a guy, maybe like, I don't know, I'll mess up the details, but he just ran, or he didn't run, but he like did the 48 4,000 footers in New Hampshire in like the fastest time it's ever been done, like 3 days and change. And he's like, I don't know, 50 something.
Yeah. Well,
so like at worst case, you have to just, redefine, change your goals a little bit too.
Okay. Well, I'll do that, and I'll accept that without any rebuttal, because I'm looking at the clock and we are dangerously low on time. So until next time.
Onward.
Say your name, special guest.
Rocky Balboa in a sweatsuit.
This is the Power